Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a very random, very unexpected and very, well, as time of recording, late edition of Celtic Transfer Talk. The time it's published, it'll be a very early version because it'll be out in the morning. Celtic have their new goalkeeper. It's maybe one that we didn't expect, but it's happening. By all accounts, it seems to be anyway. Let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We're trying to get towards 50,000 subscribers. If you want your daily transfer updates, you know where to come and you know where to subscribe. Drop down, hit both those buttons. It's absolutely free. Isn't it funny that in yesterday's video I was saying I don't expect us to get these players through the door before the trip to America. I didn't think we'd get the signings. The reverse juju worked. I jinxed it. It seems to be happening. Celtic have their new goalkeeper. Let's talk about that. KASPER SCHMEICHEL. Yes, there he is. Right there on screen. You know exactly who he is. You've heard of him before. Son of Peter and obviously very esteemed goalkeeper in his own right. Former Premier League champion with Leicester City. Played in Champions League with Leicester as well. And multiple other clubs across the continent, including Falkirk, if you want to go closer to home. He seems to be Celtic's new number one. Breaking news tonight as I record this video. It's currently 10 past midnight, so it's actually the morning technically. But it's happening. It's all happening so quickly. Celtic have found their new number one. It was a name that was mentioned on the sly last week to Brendan Rodgers when we visited Somerset Park. Did I think it was going to be Celtic's goalkeeper for the 2024-25 campaign? Absolutely not. In fact, if you watched my video last week where I went through goalkeepers and their chances of signing for Celtic, I had KASPER SCHMEICHEL right down at the bottom. It seems to be happening now. He seems to be the guy that's coming to the club. Let's have a look at the story and how it's unravelled. So around 10 PM last night, this was the tweet from Fabrizio Romano which broke the news. KASPER SCHMEICHEL set to become Celtic's new goalkeeper on the understanding the contract will be valid until June 2025. The deal will also include an option for one further season until June 2026. So KASPER SCHMEICHEL is reportedly coming up the road. He's coming here to Celtic. He's chosen us over a number of different sides. We'll talk about that in a moment. With a one-year contract on the table, and depending how that 1 year goes, it could turn into a 2-year move for the Danish keeper. Of course, he was featured most recently at Euro 2024 with the Danish national team. He still holds down the number one spot for them, and it looks as though he'll be holding down that spot for Celtic next season. As further reported by Danish journalist Farzam Abou-Hosseini, he said that KASPER SCHMEICHEL had interest from Saudi Arabia and Anderlecht, but he's prioritised a move to Celtic. He will undergo a medical this weekend, which means we could see KASPER SCHMEICHEL sign for Celtic as early as Monday if the medical goes as planned and everything comes up clear on that. So all signs point towards KASPER SCHMEICHEL being the Celtic goalkeeper come Monday morning, Monday afternoon, whatever, and also being included in that squad that travels to the USA for the tour of America. This is all happening. It's all happened very quickly. I know the time scale for it all is a bit all over the place, but the proof is all there. This is it. We've got our new number one. If you wondered what he's been up to most recently at club level, well, we mentioned Anderlecht a moment ago. He was there last season. His contract expired and they did want to keep him. We just went over that. He prioritised a move to Celtic, but last season he played 31 times in the Belgian Pro League. In that time, kept 8 clean sheets. He conceded 31 goals in those 31 games, had a pretty good save percentage as well. He's a solid keeper. We're going to talk a little bit more about the move in a moment, but if you've been wondering what he's doing, he was number one for the Belgian Pro League side Anderlecht last season, still number one for the Danish national team, and went to Euro 2024, and he's due a medical this weekend. He is a pretty solid option for Celtic, but there's things I do want to talk about. So I'm taking a little bit of stick on Twitter for a tweet that I posted earlier in regards to the KASPER SCHMEICHEL signing, where I said that replacing 37-year-old Joe Hart with near 38-year-old KASPER SCHMEICHEL just makes very little sense to me. And I stand by that. It does make very little sense to me, but not for the reasons that people are jumping down my throat for. Can I just make it crystal clear right now? I've always been a huge fan of Kasper Schmeichel, and I said this in my video last week as well. Huge fan. I loved him at Leicester City. For a long time, I actually wanted him to be Manchester United's number one. I wanted him to replace David De Gea when his exit was rumoured year after year. I think he was a top keeper when he was in his prime. Is he in his prime now? No. Doesn't mean he's rotten. And I actually think he'll do a good job for Celtic. I think he comes in with a lot of positives, with that pedigree, with that character and personality to replace a figurehead like Joe Hart. Kasper Schmeichel definitely has positives. And do you know what? For a year or maybe 2 years, I genuinely think he'll be good enough, especially up here. And to be honest, I think he could be good enough in Europe as well with the experience he has. And the fact he can still, you know, pretty much play to a decent standard. I think he'll just be fine. My negatives around Kasper Schmeichel's signing aren't directed towards Kasper Schmeichel. They're directed towards the club and the recruitment, because I genuinely think we have maybe taken the cheap, lazy and easy option out here in signing a new number one. In case I haven't made it clear enough, Kasper Schmeichel is a free agent. He's joining Celtic for nothing. We don't know what his wage will be. I anticipate the news that he will be one of the club's highest earners because, well, it's Kasper Schmeichel and he'll probably demand a hefty wage, especially if Saudi Arabian clubs were interested. So he could potentially be the club's highest earner. But he's coming in for free. We've known about Joe Hart's retirement from, what was it, late February, early March for 5 months now. And this is the replacement that we've ended up with. It feels very last minute. It feels very rushed out of nowhere. And I don't think you can convince me for a moment that this was the keeper we wanted all along since Joe Hart announced his retirement. This doesn't do anything for the long-term vision of the position. I've not got a problem with Kasper Schmeichel himself. I will get right behind him. I will chant his name, and I actually look forward to seeing what he'll bring to Celtic. Welcome to Celtic is what I say to Kasper Schmeichel. But I'm more annoyed at the board once again going this route. A route where we could have maybe made a statement, that we could have went and spent some money, brought in a good keeper at a decent age, and really bolstered down that position for a few years. Now we're putting ourselves in a position where at the end of next season, we'll be having this conversation again about goalkeepers. Are we just going to be in a vicious cycle where every time a keeper leaves, we sign another keeper in the last couple of years of their career, the twilight of their career, and we just repeat? Because for me, it just doesn't do it. And I know a lot of people will be down in the comments saying, well, listen, if we sign a young keeper, they'll come in for 2 or 3 years and clubs will want them anyway and they'll have to move on. But, you know, then we have a chance to make money. There's also no guarantee that happens. You might have a keeper for 4 or 5 years. I just don't like that this is the route we've went down. I think that we should have looked elsewhere. I think that we should have planned for a long time and went for an option. If there was none on the table that Celtic saw fit, fair enough. If Kasper Schmeichel genuinely was the number one option that they wanted. But I just think that it doesn't reflect too well on the board with the money that we have right now, with the financial position and the strengths that Celtic have to now go and spend nothing on a goalkeeper, the most important area that we knew we had to improve, and then go for a free agent at retirement age. I don't know. It just doesn't really sit well with me. And people, I've seen people saying, well, it means we can spend money on other areas. If you think for a second that the board are going to go out and spend millions now on other areas, I wouldn't count your chickens. I wouldn't get your hopes up, because we know how we operate. If we've done this with the goalkeeper area, I wouldn't be surprised if we've done it with others. So that's where my reservations come in, not towards the player himself. I'm actually looking forward to seeing him in a Celtic shirt. I think that Schmeichel 1 on the back of a Celtic shirt just feels really fucking cool. I like it. At the end of the day, this is a guy that's been capped 105 times for the Danish national team. A very good national team at that. Got to the semi-finals of Euro 2020. He's won the Premier League. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the Community Shield. This is a top keeper. But I just think that Celtic should have made a statement with the recruitment policy and what we're aiming to do in this what was meant to be big future under Brendan Rodgers. Anyway, it's a bigger discussion for another day in the next video. We need to wait for the transfer to be over the line. The point in this video today is to say that it looks as though we have found our new number one after all this time, after a summer of patiently waiting and tedious waiting. It looks as though we have found our guy. So KASPER Schmeichel is that guy, and we'll hear what happens over the weekend should a medical be passed. We'll be right here to report it when it happens. We'll talk about it more in depth then. I want to hear your opinions. Get down below and let me know. KASPER Schmeichel signing for Celtic as a free agent. 37-year-old KASPER Schmeichel. He will be Celtic's number one. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.